All right, sounds good.
This meeting is being recorded.
And we are recording this for our friends at Ridgeland High School, Rosa Scott, Germantown High School, and for our YouTube channel. We just got through looking at some things about the park and rec industry and looking at the City of Clinton website. And before we get into what you do, because the City of Clinton has a program that is unlike any other in the state, and you're in
Right.
the very beginning stages of that. But before we get to that, tell us a little about your alumni of Ridgeland High School and the University of Southern Mississippi. So why don't you take us through your high school experience and then your experience at Southern Miss?
Okay. Like you said, I went to Ridgeland High School. I graduated from there in 2016. I will be honest, I did not know what I wanted to major in when I went to college. And I was looking through some stuff and I was thinking, maybe I finally narrowed it down to like occupational therapy or physical therapy. And I was like, well, maybe I want to do that. So I decided to major in kinesiology when I went to USM for orientation and got there, did my prerequisite courses once I got there. And then around my sophomore year, I started getting into the actual courses for kinesiology, like those main courses that you have to take. And it got hard very quick. And so, I was looking at my GPA and I was like, man, like my GPA is going down. Like I want to do this, but I'm not really meeting where I need to meet, to actually do well. And so I was like, I went to my advisor and I said, I want to change my majors. I don't want to jeopardize my GPA. And, I'm figuring out that this isn't really something that I want to do. And so I don't want to take over, classes or anything. So what's a major that I can go into where I already have credits for? And she went and said, she was like, oh, well, we have these classes that we can offer as well as recreational therapy. And I was like, what is that? And so she gave me a brochure about it. And it just like light bulbs, flashing lights, everything went off. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is literally what I want to do. This is exactly what I had in mind because I want to help people and I want to provide services to them that help them feel included and fuel diversity and all this, that sort of thing. So I met up with Dr. Rick Green, who's the director of the department at USM, over Christmas break, and I changed my major. And from there, everything went so smoothly. And then after I graduated in 2020, I got my certification that summer. And then here I am at Clinton, and I've been here since November. And I've enjoyed it. I love it.
That's awesome. And obviously, you have ties to Southern Miss. I mean, we'd obviously be remiss if we didn't mention that your dad is
Yeah.
Sammy Winder,
Mhm.
one of the greatest football players in Southern Miss history, played in the NFL for 9 years, played in 3 Super Bowls and 2 Pro Bowls.
Yes.
But just to let everybody know, you're the daughter of an NFL starting running back, played for
Right.
10 years. But
Yeah.
that NFL career does not equal millions and millions of dollars never having to work again for the rest of your life.
Right.
Because y'all do have a
Right.
family business. Just tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into what you do at the City of Clinton.
Okay. So yes, like you said, my dad played for 9 years for the Denver Broncos as a running back. My dad, one thing he says, like he's like, I'm always a country boy. I grew up in Pocahontas, Mississippi. I'm a country boy to my heart. And he always liked heavy machinery. He always enjoyed that. And his goal in his mind ever since, like even before he went into the NFL, was he wanted to have his own construction business. And once he retired from the NFL, that's what he went and did. And he did that for a number of years, up until about, I want to say, around 2010, 2011 is when he went on to sign on with a garbage company as their district supervisor, and then went on and got transferred to another company after that. And now that he's retired from that scene, he's back doing construction. So I think a big part of it is just like always remembering to always have something to fall back on, because like you said, a lot of times people see like the flash and lights and the dollar signs and the numbers and all these different things, but in order to maintain what you gain, you have to have a plan. And so I'm really glad that my dad did that, and he's also, and by him doing that, it instilled that in me as well. So I always kind of have a backup plan to fall back on, because you just never know how things may go.
Yeah, and like I said, he's one of the greatest players in Mississippi history. But I think he's made more money doing his life after football and he took a lot less
Right.
hits as well. A lot less.
Right.
Been able to great. You guys have done a great impact there in Madison County. Now
Yes.
let's talk about this therapeutic recreation service at City of
Sure.
Clinton, because it's unlike anything in the state. And we talked about we've been talked about the human services career cluster, health science, and now we're in the
Mhm.
government career cluster, and you kind of encompass all three of those. Because
Right.
technically, the city of government aldermen were the ones that approved y'all's program and decided to
True.
provide programs to the senior citizens and the disabled in the Clinton area. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit. What is the it's the Living Young program, and the you also have the it had the program for disabilities as well. So tell us a little bit about what all y'all do and what you provide,
Okay.
and what skills are needed for that.
Okay. So, starting with Living Young. Living Young is our program for individuals who are 50 and over. And let me just tell you, age is nothing but a number with them. Trust me, they are definitely young at heart. We provide activities and programs from them quarterly on a quarterly basis. So like for this quarter example, we just got done doing a wreath making class where we show them step by step how to make it. So it's very much honing in on fine motor skills, as well as cognitive ability as well, because it's not just, oh, we just put together activities and stuff for them to do just to pass time. Like everything that we do has a purpose, and that's just the amazing thing about rec therapy, because you thinking it's just like, so it's just a random game or a random activity, but there is purpose behind it. And we also do a exercise class twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. And it's called chair aerobics. So it's basically what it says. It's an aerobics class, but it's seated. And we sometimes use different instruments and exercise equipment to go along with it as well, and that usually lasts like 45 minutes. And also we have a flexercise class, which uses like resistance bands, so for them to build muscle and build muscle tone and gain stability. We have dance fitness twice a month, which I personally enjoy. I get to lead that class from time to time. We do different dances, kind of like Zumba style, and they enjoy that. But not just exercising, we also do trips. We're actually taking a trip to Natchez later on this month, to look at some of the sites of Natchez and things like that. And we also have a mystery trip coming up
Wow.
over the summer as well. So we do a number of things that help keep them, engaged and involved, because I know at sometimes as people get older and age, sometimes they get more secluded, especially since COVID has been an issue and been a thing, that obstacle that we've had to overcome. And when that did happen, we went to Facebook. We used Facebook Live to televise our exercise classes to make sure that people are still receiving the services that they are wanting to receive and are still used to receiving. So yeah, it's like Living Young is definitely what it's what it says, living young.
Yeah,
And then
and for what it sounds like, you get, obviously there's the fun recreation aspect of it, but with your training, you're dealing with the mental health, the social health, and the physical health of
yeah,
senior citizens. And
most definitely.
the city of Clinton has made that a priority for their citizens to provide that for them, because
Right.
usually, usually that's only available to people that have a lot of money, and in these upscale health clubs. So why has the Clinton Park and Rec decided to make this such a priority?
So I really credit a lot of it to my supervisor, who is the director, Chandra Broomfield. She just is a heavy advocate for recreational therapy and wanting them to break away from just being up under Parks and Rec, but make it its own department. She spearheaded a lot of what we do today, and honestly our department would not be what it is without her. And just realize that there is a need and there is a desire that people need to be involved, like you said, like to build upon that mental capacity and build upon that social capacity, because it's so easy sometimes for the older population to become isolated, and that comes a very big issue, and a lot of them sometimes don't have family. Like some of the people that come to our center, they don't maybe not have family close by, or they've had relatives or friends to pass on, and they're trying to gain new connections, which is great because you're constantly constantly evolving even at an older age, and so we try to aid in that evolution as well, by the different activities that we provide and different programs that we provide and everything such as that. So it's just basically like see a need, fulfill that need. and we're constantly learning. I'm still learning, and I have quote unquote done everything in revolves to, going to school, getting a certification, but you're constantly, I guess, adjusting and trying to make programs and activities to be geared towards them, for them, and for whatever particular need that they may have.
Now,
So
now you
yeah.
talk about your certification. What certifications do you have?
So in order to actually, you can practice recreational therapy without a certification, but it's best that you have the certification because you can kind of do more with it. So basically, what the certification process looks like is you can either, go through the school route, which is, you go through school, you major in recreational therapy, you complete your needed credit hours. There's also, you have to do practicums each semester, which you have to gain, I believe it's like 40 to 50 hours within a semester, at whatever site that you are assigned to. And then going into your senior year, your last semester of your senior year, you'll have to do an internship. And so that internship is usually, I believe, a 12 to 14 week internship that you have to complete at a site that is up under a CTRS, a Certified Therapeutic Recreational Specialist. And then from there, once you gain your credit hours for that and graduate, yay, then you should be on track to have studied and know the material for the certification exam. The sit for the exam, it is about a 3 to 4 hour exam. It is pretty lengthy, and it has over 100 questions. And so how the exam goes is that basically if you get enough answers correct within that time frame, you pass. And then, but sometimes the test will make you go through every question before it actually passes you, like it did for me. I had to go through all those 120 plus questions. And then from there, you get your results immediately there, and then boom, you are a CTRS. So you'll be able to lead activities, go to conferences, and gain extra knowledge and input on what's going on in the realm of TR. I do have to have a certain amount of, I guess, CEUs, which are like credit hours from different conferences and stuff in
Same
the span
procedure.
of 5 years. That way I can keep, up to date with what's going on and what I'm supposed to be doing as a certified recreational specialist. So, yeah.
Yeah, and now I know you're with the city and y'all have a program that y'all started. So, what are some other
Mhm.
areas that are therapeutic recreation specialists are needed?
Um, Literally anywhere. I know some of my classmates and colleagues. I know one in particular, she's in San Antonio, Texas, and she is with the Veterans Hospital out there, and she's providing programs and activities for veterans, especially within the mental aspect of it, the mental health aspect of it. And I have another classmate of mine who I believe she's somewhere up north, but she does like outdoor recreation for substance abuse, people that are in drug and alcohol rehab, and they go hiking. They take hiking trips. They have outdoor obstacle courses, and also she leads small groups as well. I have another classmate who is in a nursing home facility and doing activities and stuff, providing for them for the dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients. And there's a number of things that you can actually do with this degree and this certification. I had someone who was, I think, 2 or 3 classes ahead of me. She is now in medical school. Like she's up here at UMMC in medical school. Some people go on to coach and be coaches. We have some people that are coaches now. So it's very much an avenue where you can really do anything with the degree that you have. It's just
Yeah,
that you just have to apply
yeah,
yourself.
and
Yeah.
in your case, with people living longer and longer, there's going to be more and more demand for it because the life expectancy
Yeah.
keeps getting longer, and with good and with good therapeutic recreation, that's going to aid in that. So there's always going to be a need.
Correct. Yeah. And even with the people that I serve, also with like the disabilities program that we have, the abilities program, and with Challenger League, that group age range is like from, I think our youngest is like 7 to, we have someone in their 50s. That's a part of that program. And when I tell you, they have a blast. Like right now, we are in softball season So we teach them how to play softball. We go through all the fundamentals. We show them how to hold a bat, how to swing. We show them how to pitch, how to get ground balls, all these different things, and that they actually play games. And it gets intense. Like they are legit, they are serious about it. And then we also rotate out with the sports that we do, like bowling and soccer and basketball. And we also put on social events for them too. We do Valentine's Day socials for them, and we do other different activities with them during the quarter as well. And we also serve the middle school and the high school. Their special needs class comes to our building to do exercises throughout the week. So kind of similar to the chair aerobics class that the Living Young group does, but a little bit different, a little bit more adapted for them. And they have a blast on top of doing like their own little dance fitness course. So, just providing that opportunity for them to actually do everything that everyone else does, because they are everyone else.
Absolutely.
They just may have a slower time to understand or need better explanation or need something to be adapted in order for them to do it, and just providing that opportunity for them to just feel included and feel a part. So
Yeah, and especially a place like Clinton that already has one of the top park and rec programs in the state with all the sports they
great.
provide for the community.
Yeah.
It's only right to include every single person that is in the community. So it really does
Right.
give them an avenue to be a part of the teams that are offered for the able-bodied individuals. And that's great that the city has decided to invest in that, because not every city has that. Not every, I mean, it's obvious. Not every city government has that ability and that initiative.
Mhm.
Now, before I get to some of the students' questions, it sounds like with what you do, there's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of science involved. There's
Mhm.
a lot of study involved, and obviously a lot of research. But there's a lot of communication. These kids get mad at me all the time when I make them present things in front of the class, but it's not to be mean. It's to
Right.
let them be top on their communication skills, because how much of that are you using every day? Because you got to talk to families, you have to talk to clients, and then especially with certain individuals, you may have to change the way you speak in your vernacular for somebody to understand. So how
Correct.
even if you have the degrees, if you don't have those communication skills, you're not going to be good at this job. So how important is
Right.
it for them to know that every field is going to require being able to talk to people?
Right. Extremely. Like all I do is talk. Like that encompasses what I do on a daily basis. Having those great communication skills is super important. Because like I said, I lead classes, and like our classes are not small classes. Like we will have our exercise class usually runs about maybe anywhere from 50 to 60 people. So I have to make sure that I'm using the right inflection, and that I'm being loud enough to be heard all the way in the back, and make sure that I'm clear enough in my directions in order to actually lead the class like I'm supposed to. Um, as well as with our abilities program and communicating with some of them, like even having to know of them having being like slightly nonverbal. So like having to know a little bit of sign language as
Wow.
well
I
to
didn't think
communicate with them. So it's like you always have to adapt, and you're always going to have to communicate, because I mean, how else are you going to be able to do your job?
Yeah,
And so like
I
with
didn't think
this,
about the
it
nonverbal
kind of,
communication.
yeah,
That's a big deal.
so it kind of makes for me, I'm somewhat of an introvert. You probably couldn't tell, but I am. But at the same time, I had to kind of get out of my shyness and my introvertedness in order to do my job, because you have to in order to actually be effective and do what needs to be done.
Absolutely, and that goes back, if you're trained and you know what you're doing, you're going to be a lot more confident in the way you communicate,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you are the expert in the service. But I do have some questions, and some of these are awesome. And these are all ninth graders. This first one
Okay, I'm ready.
is Jasmine Williamson, and she asked, even though you've only been on the job since November, what is your favorite memory you have so far?
Oh, Jasmine, that is so tough. My favorite memory so far would probably be from, let's see, Challenger League. We have a young guy. He's the youngest guy on our team right now. He's about 7, and he is a spastic quadriplegic. So basically he doesn't have like full range of motion with his arms and legs and everything. He can walk some with the aid of like a walker, and he does have difficulties like keeping his neck and head up. But he is the sweetest little boy you have ever met. I love him. I love all of them, but I love him. And he and I were practicing ground balls, and like for him, what we've done is that we've kind of like made like a little has like a little slope on his walker, so he'll hold the ball up, and then he knows when to release it and let it go for it to roll down. And then I would catch the ground ball and then hand it back to him to place it back up under his hand. And I was doing that, and his mom and his sister were right there. And his mom was like, I just want you to know, this is his first year in Challenger League. She's like, he has been talking about Challenger League non-stop. Like he was in therapy just telling them, like, I hit a home run, I did this, I did that. And when I tell you, my heart melted because it's just like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to provide. I want everyone to feel like they are able to do whatever they want to do and feel included. And so, like, that was kind of like my little full circle moment. So that would probably be my most memorable moment thus far.
That's awesome. This is Danielle Brown, and she asked, while you were at USM and you got frustrated in your degree, did you want to quit because it got too hard?
Danielle, yes. Even though TR ended up being, I guess, a little bit easier for me to catch on with and everything, I still faced challenges. It still was difficult. It still was not easy, especially when it got towards me graduating. Because I interned during COVID. COVID hit like after I was 2 months into my internship, and talk about stress. Because I already went through so much just to get my internship, because the original site that I was supposed to go to, things didn't work out. And so I ended up being already a week behind than I was supposed to start my internship. And I actually did my internship here at the Wood Activity Center here in Clinton. And I was fortunate enough to do that. And then March rolled around and COVID hit. And I was just like, it's just one thing after the other. But I think for me, my faith and my determination just was like, you know what, I went into this, I will graduate on time, COVID or no COVID, and I was able to, with the help of my, at the time, internship supervisor, but now my boss, help me navigate and get through. And so having that determination and knowing that, I really am passionate about this, I want to see it through, I don't want to quit, even when it feels so easy and more easy to just quit and just throw in the towel. But it's like, if you really have a passion for something, you really have a drive for it and a calling towards it, you can't quit. You can't. And despite what the obstacles may come up or may be faced with, you just have to trust and believe like it's all going to work out some type of way, and be able to navigate it the best way you can. And you may mess up, and it may not look as picture perfect as someone else over here it may look like on theirs. But at the end of the day, if you're able to still do and achieve what you love to do, which is what I'm doing, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and before we were on, there was a student here said that he wanted to go to USM because he thought it'd be fun, and I was like, as a USM grad, and you're a USM grad, it is a lot of fun there, but you need to make sure you're in your place, and you were able to do that. And for anybody watching that watches now or later, the kinesiology programs at Southern Miss are some of the best in the country.
Yes,
and absolutely the best in the state. So for people interested in this field, Southern Miss is going to offer that, but you need to go. You need to go to Southern Miss for the right reasons. You don't need to go because your family wants you to go, or you think it's a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun. Hattiesburg's a great place, and the campus has a lot going on, but it needs to be a place to achieve your academic goals. And I think it is that. Now this is Christian Dawson. This is an interesting question. He asked, does your family business and your current career ever clash?
That's funny. Yes and no. I do help my dad with our family business. I'm basically like his administrative assistant, pretty much, as well as tech support and everything else in between. So yeah, there are times where like I have had, hopefully my boss doesn't hear me, I've had to do invoices while I've been at work in order to have them sent off to the job sites or my dad's clients. And then on top of that, be ready to lead a class right thereafter. I think basically at the end of the day, it's just having that balance, that work work balance. And also, making sure like, okay, I can allocate this time to finishing up these proposals for my dad and these invoices for my dad and have them sent off by tomorrow. And then as well as focus on getting prepared for the exercise class that I have to lead. So it all comes down to like balance, having a planner. Planners are your best friends, y'all. Having a planner and having a calendar is your bestie. I promise you, you're going to really love me for giving you that advice, because having it all spelled out and being able to kind of compartmentalize your time and section off like, okay, I'm gonna spend an hour on this, 2 hours on this, 30 minutes on this, it really helps in order to kind of balance it. And sometimes everything comes all at once and I'm like, okay, let me just look at what's the top priority right now. So if I got to lead a class in maybe 10 to 15 minutes, then I'm gonna have to be late turning in this proposal. I'm sorry, Dad, but that's how it goes. And also, my dad is understanding because he knows that I'm also trying to build a career as well as help out with the family business. So he doesn't put too much pressure on me to get stuff done. And he knows that, even if I am a little bit behind, that I'm gonna get right back on it and finish it out and have it sent off to whoever it needs to go out to.
And that actually leads us into this next question, and this is along the same lines. This is Amaya Dixon, and she asked, "How do you prioritize tasks?"
Like I said, just finding what's important at the moment. Everything is important, but finding out, okay, what needs to get done like right now. Like I said, like if I have a class that's about to start in like 10 minutes, and of course I'm gonna do what I need to do in order to get prepared to lead that exercise class or lead, whatever, and have to maybe set the invoices and proposals and whatever else that my dad may have for his business to the side for a moment. Doesn't mean that I won't ever get back to it, because once I finish that class, I'm coming right back and be like, okay, let me finish out this email. Let me finish typing this up so I can send it off. So like I said, just seeing what needs to be done right now and what time frame as well. And knowing that, okay, me typing that up is going to take me 15, 20 minutes tops. So maybe I need to work over here on this other thing that's going to take me 5 minutes and do that first.
Not be underestimated.
Yeah.
That's something
so it's just
like, now.
Yeah. So it's just like you have to figure that out. And sometimes stuff is gonna clash and it's just like, okay, I need an extension, like this is not gonna get, like, I've had to tell my dad that before. Like, look, Dad, I know this proposal is supposed to be out today, but the way work today was set up and how I'm feeling right now, because I am tired, because rest is important. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna get to it today. So it may be tomorrow before I can get to it. Now send a nice apologetic email to whomever, or phone call to whoever, letting them know that it's going to be slightly delayed, but it's on the way. I think sometimes we get kind of caught up in trying to get everything done right then and right there and put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And then when you put that pressure on yourself, you have more of the chance to mess up and make more mistakes. So it's better to just ask, like, okay, I need an extension. I need more time on this particular thing in order to get it sent out and done. And like, okay, cool, fine, that's perfectly fine. And then go from there.
That's awesome. I just got two more from the students. This is Monterius Page, and he asked, "How long would you be in this position before you were able to move up into a more a role and more responsibility?"
I look at this because, like, what I'm doing kind of right now is like an entry level position. So I know for myself, I kind of set the goal of like maybe 2 to 3 years, to where then I would hope to have enough experience to maybe be a director at somewhere and running a facility such as this, or doing some individual work myself, like personal work, because we do actually contract work. Like some places contract recreational therapists out to do and provide services, or to show them and have like workshops to show them what they could be doing to help the cognitive, mental, emotional abilities and capabilities of their patients. And so doing that, but of course, using as much of my time here as possible, because this is the groundwork, this is the foundation in a sense. So I'm like a sponge soaking everything in. But I have given, I guess, like a mental goal of just 2 to 3 years to kind of get my footing, and then from there, hopefully move to something.
It's always good to have those tangible, measurable goals. And that's
yeah.
So always have a timeline. I check one more from the students. This is Ivan Smith. And He asked, what are some
Okay.
services that you have an idea to offer in the future?
Can you repeat that? It kind
He
of
asked,
cut out a
what are
little
some
bit.
services that you plan on offering in the future?
Um, in regards to like TR,
Mhm.
I'm guessing. Okay. I do want to eventually have a program of my own that is centered around young adults and also teenagers and things such as that, especially teenagers with disabilities, because you don't really see that type of programming. Like that's not common programming, even though that there is a need for it. And a lot of people don't know that there are so many possibilities and available that are available to them because it's never presented, you know.
And
And I desire to,
in your case, the city government had no city government I
yeah,
made any priority in that. So I mean, you guys are
right.
taking a step, with the senior adults and the Challenger League, but there's still a lot of work to be done on that. You're right.
Right. So making that more mainstream, especially in smaller cities and smaller towns. Like my grandparents, they live in Collinsville, Mississippi, and there's a large older adults population where they live along with themselves. And they do come visit pretty often. And I've been telling them, like, since I work here, I'm like, y'all should come by and see the center and stuff like that, because I tell them about what we do. And my grandmother is like, oh my gosh, like that needs to be everywhere. And so I definitely want to get to a point where something like the Wood Activity Center is not just in Clinton, that it's in a Collinsville, Mississippi. It's in those small rural areas, because those things are needed. You could see so much improvement in life and light in those areas more so than what it is now if that's provided. And so like that's what I desire to do after it's all said and done, as well as just making TR more mainstream, because I didn't know about TR when I went to USM. You know, it took me changing my nature to find that out and seeing how so needed it is, especially now that people are coming out of COVID and coming out of quarantine and being isolated and things such as that. And so many mental aspects come into play with that. Like we've had spikes in people having depression and having anxiety and all these different things, and you need recreational therapists to in there to help with that, because what we provide and what we do aids in mental health. It aids in physical health. It aids in emotional health. So to be able to provide that service, and especially provide that service in areas where it's uncommon and where there are discrepancies and stuff, and to kind of erase those discrepancies and actually meet a need. So yeah,
We're almost out of time. We thank you so much for joining us, especially on short notice.
thank
Um,
you.
but before we go,
Okay.
Paul, where can they get? You guys are always needing volunteers. So if anybody has
Yeah. Yes.
the volunteer, let us know how to get in touch with y'all to volunteer.
Okay, well, I'm also the volunteer coordinator here at the Wood Activity Center. So the best way to reach us is by my email. I can provide my email for you all.
In the chat right now, they can all see it.
Okay, so it'll be ewinder at clintonms.org. And I'm always checking my email. So I will get your email as soon as it comes up. And then what we'll do is, like, the process will include you filling out a volunteer form, just putting down your information and things such as that, to make sure that we have everything on file. And even if you need service hours for a particular extracurricular that you're in, we can give you that as well. We can sign off on that. And also, if you don't want to do email, you can always call up here. Our phone number is 601 924 6387. And either myself or my boss, Chandra Broomfield, will answer the phones, or whomever who's near the phone at the time. And it's just say like, hey, I sat on this presentation with Liz and she's told me everything that y'all are doing and I want to be a part. I want to help. We are always welcoming volunteers. Even if you don't have a extracurricular activity that you have to gain service hours, but you just want to find out more about TR, that's totally fine. Just let us know, call or email email and we'll get you set up.
Yeah, and yeah, you see, like you said, it'd be a great way to get a feel of the field before they actually got into it and see what all you guys do. But before we go,
Mhm.
you're a graduate of Madison County Schools, so everybody that's going to see the Madison County School alumni as well. At Ridgeland High, you didn't graduate that long ago, so only 2016.
Right.
And everybody that's here watching with me now is a young Black student in Mississippi, sitting where you were just a few years ago. So
Right.
you know, being I mean, it's hard enough to be a woman in your field, but to be a
Mhm.
Black woman in your field and to have gone through the same obstacles they're going to face coming out of high school. What can
Yes.
you do to prepare to face those obstacles as they get out of high school and become a successful someone like you?
Oh, that's such a good question. Um, I think most of all is um, don't let the stereotypes and the limitations that other people may say or try to place on you define you. Because, like you said, like the field that I'm in is mainly dominated by white males, and so it's been in a lot of cases and spaces where I've looked around and there's not many people that look like me. And having to, even though being in that environment and being in that setting, know like I'm just as capable. We went through the same coursework, we went through the same curriculum, we know all the same things. And really knowing your identity and knowing who you are and knowing that I'm just as good if not better. So having that mindset and realizing that it's not always going to be easy. A lot of times, especially now, since we live in such a world where everything is very instant, very just right there in your face automatically, being in TR and just being towards anything in general, it is going to take time. I'm still learning. I haven't arrived yet. I didn't get to this point just because, it just came easy. It's not going to ever be easy. And there's going to be many times that you want to quit. There are going to be days where it's not going to be fun. There's been days where even working, like it hasn't always been fun, but it's like, you know what? I enjoy doing this. This is my calling. This is my purpose. And even though I had this bad day, this bad day doesn't define all the good days that are to come. And so just to keep that in mind and keep a good perspective of things, as well as make sure that you're surrounded by people who may not have the exact same goals as you, but are still pursuing whatever their calling is and that are actively pursuing their calling. I think a lot of my credit goes to, having a supportive family and having supportive friends who, push me, even when I don't want to do something, that they're like, no, you got to keep on, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep going. We don't quit. Like, no, you can't quit. And it's so easy to do that because you feel like so many obstacles and stereotypes and different things of that nature is coming against you, but you have to stay determined. As well as my faith has built me up to the point where it's like, okay, God, this is a lot. I can't do this. I need help. And always coming in and meeting those different needs in ways that I never thought of, that I was like, okay, I didn't even see that, how that could happen. And just also being open to change, um, being open to the fact that not everything is going to go exactly how you have planned. Because I just swore up and down that I was going to be an occupational therapist or a physical therapist somewhere. And I'm not there. Look at where I'm at. And so being open with the fact that, yeah, I have this plan, I have this idea, but I'm also open to it changing and it looking a little different. That I may still end up achieving the same thing because at the end of the day, I wanted to be a therapist. I just didn't know it was going to be a recreational therapist. So, being open to that change and, like I said, not allowing stereotypes or what society says define you because they're going to try. Whether it's through the news, whether it's through social media, whether it's through all these different things, sometimes you got to stand back, take a step back, drown out all the noise and be like, okay, what did I want to set out to do? Do I still want to do this? Because sometimes you may realize that's not what you really wanted and realize, okay, I'm going to take these necessary steps to get to that point. And stuff is going to come up to go and come against that. But then you still have to rely back on, no, I told myself that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to see it through, you know? And so to just have that determination, have that will to do it, have that faith to put towards it, and as well as having good people around you as your community and as your support system. And when you have all that working with you, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, you'll be able to achieve everything. And yes, those obstacles are there. Not saying that those obstacles are not there. They are there. We see them. I see them. You see them. We all see them. But don't let those obstacles define who you are and define what your passion is and where you want to go. And it's easier said than done a lot of times. But I promise you, when you tap into that and when you fully submerge yourself in that, man, you'll be able to achieve anything you want to. You'll be a force to be reckoned with, and the possibilities are endless. So, yeah.
Come on, possibilities. All right, well,
Yes.
we thank you so much for joining us. That was some great stuff, and you guys are doing such a great job out there. Really cool program.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to see some more of in the future. But yeah, Elizabeth Winder, City of Clinton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, see you soon, my friend.
All right, bye.